You ever notice how you can just get a feel for someone, like, before they even say a single word? It's because our bodies are always talking. They're sending out these silent signals with every little posture, gesture, and movement. It's this hidden language we all speak, without even thinking about it. But what if I told you that AI is, well, it's learning to speak that language too? Let's dive in and see how it's cracking the code on these silent signals. Okay, so first things first, our silent language. It's something we all just kind of get. It's practically baked into our DNA. We make these snap judgments, these first impressions, all based on this quiet conversation that's happening underneath the words. It's pure intuition, a gut feeling about who someone is.
And hey, just for a second, think about it. Right now, how are you sitting or standing? Are you leaning forward into this, or are you kind of kicked back? Our posture is like a constant broadcast of what's going on inside, whether we mean for it to be or not.
We have all these common interpretations, right? Slouched shoulders, probably low energy. Arms folded, maybe they're feeling a bit defensive. For centuries, this has been all about human intuition. But here's where it gets really interesting. AI is now learning to spot these same patterns, and frankly, a whole lot more that we might completely miss. So how in the world do you get from a human hunch to actual machine learning? This is a huge, huge leap. We're moving beyond AI that just parses our words or reads our facial expressions to an AI that can see our entire body as one big behavioral clue. And a huge breakthrough comes from a 2025 study called PyNet. The researchers here developed a system to do exactly that. And this isn't some minor tweak, you guys, it's a fundamental shift. AI is learning to understand us by treating our physical presence, something we control way less than our words, as a legit signal all on its own. So how does it see us? Well, the core tech is called pose estimation. What it does is the AI identifies the key joints in your body, your shoulders, your elbows, your knees, and it just connects the dots. What you get is this kind of digital skeleton that maps out your every move in real time. It's pretty cool. And the process itself is actually pretty straightforward. First, it captures your pose with that digital skeleton. Then, it turns all that movement into numbers, into data. Third, a machine learning model just churns through mountains of this data, finding the tiny patterns that link certain movements to certain personality traits. And finally, it interprets what it found. See, it's not reading your mind, it's reading your motion.
So what's it even looking for? Well, the PyNet model was trained to spot what psychologists call the big 5 personality traits. These are basically the 5 big buckets that are believed to make up the core of who we are. How open are we? How conscientious, extroverted, agreeable, or neurotic? And the results are, well, they're fascinating. The AI found these super clear links between how people move and these traits. For example, extroversion often lined up with big animated gestures and a lot of different movements. But, and this is so crucial, it also picked up on the super subtle signs of introversion, things like a more controlled posture or a very steady stance. This means AI can start to understand the quieter folks in the room, not just the loudest ones. It's learning to see the quiet physical signatures of our inner worlds.
But look, this is way more than just a cool lab experiment. This kind of tech is already making the jump from research papers into our actual lives, and the implications, they're going to be massive.
All this research is part of a much bigger field called embodied AI. And the big idea here is simple. For technology to truly get us, it needs to learn from our physical selves, our posture, our rhythm, our motion, not just the words we type into a box.
And you can already imagine the real-world applications. Think about a wellness app that notices you're slumping from being tired and gently suggests a break, or healthcare tech that can pick up on the physical signs of a low mood. Interfaces could literally change their layout if you lean back, and video games could adjust how characters respond based on your body language. It's all about making tech that responds to us in a much more natural and hopefully supportive way. Of course, with this kind of incredible power comes, you guessed it, incredible responsibility. As we teach machines to see us this clearly, we have to be so careful about how that vision gets used. This is the absolute core question we have to face. How do we make sure these tools are used for good, for empathy and support, instead of for surveillance and judgment? Where's that line between a helpful nudge and a creepy intrusion? So the people building this are asking some really critical questions, like, are we being completely open about what's being collected? And is everyone giving their full consent? Does a gesture in one culture mean the exact same thing in another? And maybe most important of all, how do we build this to support people, not just to stick a label on them? It really all comes down to designing for human dignity.
This quote from the source material just hits the nail on the head. The goal isn't to build an AI that acts exactly like a person. No, the goal is to build tech that works with compassion, that gets what we need, and that supports our well-being in a fundamentally humane way.
So what's the end game here? What does a future look like where our tech doesn't just hear what we say, but actually understands our presence?
Well, the next wave is all about synthesis. In the future, AI systems won't just look at your posture by itself. They're going to combine it with the tone of your voice, with the words you choose, and build a much, much deeper, more complete picture. It's the difference between just seeing patterns and actually understanding context.
And this, right here, is the ultimate takeaway. The most exciting promise of embodied AI isn't that our phones are going to get more human-like. It's that they could become these incredible new tools for self-awareness. For someone who's maybe more introverted, it could offer insights into how their quiet energy is being perceived by others, helping all of us better understand the silent signals we're constantly putting out there.
So I'll just leave you with this one last thought to chew on. As this science keeps moving forward, we're faced with this really fascinating possibility. If technology can learn to see us in our subtle, nonverbal glory, could it in turn help us see ourselves with a little more clarity, and maybe even a little more kindness?